You're watching the Patriotic podcast.
Good evening. Welcome to Patriotic podcast. Today we've got Carolyn Sharette with us, who is the founder and the superintendent of American Preparatory Academy. So nice to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Let's start by just talking a little bit about you, and how you got into this business, because you've built quite a group of schools that have done very, very well. But let's go back a little bit and talk about how you landed there.
Awesome. Thank you. I grew up in Michigan, and I was educated there my whole life. And then I earned a degree in nursing, decided to become a registered nurse, and I continue to hold my license now. And went on to have 7 children pretty quickly. My oldest was 9 when I had my last.
Wow.
And so I was head down, focusing on family, working as a nurse part-time, very part-time, when my kids all got into school. And we were in Michigan, and things seemed to be going just fine. We moved to Texas we're there for 5 years, and I had, at that point, 4 of my kids entered public elementary schools, and I was able to observe and watch, and I was brand new at this mom thing with kids in school. And then we moved to Colorado, and our 5th joined the school group there, and when I got to Colorado, I started to wake up and realize there were some things that weren't right. Things didn't seem to be organized well at the school. 2 of my kids might be reading the same book at the same time. I'll give you an example. And I would say to the principal, why are they both reading Charlotte's Web? Is it Charlotte's Web Month? Should we support by doing activities about Charlotte's Web? And she looked at me confused, like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, they're reading it in 2 different grades, so there must be a special thing. And she said, no, the teachers here just choose what they teach. And my nursing brain, which is very based on data,
right?
Because people die if you don't attend to data in medical field. I was like, well, does that mean that they might read Charlotte's Web every year, but they'll never read Pollyanna? Because they get to choose whatever they read. And she said, well, I guess theoretically, but we don't read Old Yeller anyway. So I started looking into how schools are organized, what standards-based education is, what classical education is. And fortunately, back then there were newspapers in 1996, and I looked at the newspaper one night and it said, if you want to start a charter school, come to the library tonight. And I showed up, and there was 2 ladies from New Jersey there, and 2 of us who attended, both of us were also from the East, and we decided to open a brand new thing called a charter school, and we were able to do it in about 9 months at that time. And we opened Platte River Academy the next fall for our kids, a classical core knowledge charter school, and I was the curriculum director, not as an employee, just as a volunteer. And that's how I got into it. My kids started into that beautiful classical school there in Colorado that we were able to put together as parents.
Wow. So how did you end up in Utah?
Yeah. So we were there, and I was able to actually be involved in 3 charter schools in Colorado in the 5 years we were there. Because I was still data-driven. In the first one I started, the scores came back and they weren't great. And so I went to the longest-running charter school in Colorado thinking that was going to be better, and the scores weren't great. So I finally did the research in the newspaper and found out the highest-performing schools, visited them. One was in Colorado Springs. It was amazing. I visited them so many times. They gave me an $8 an hour job to come 40 miles each way from my house every day, but I could bring my 4 little boys to this amazing award-winning school. We did that for a year. I thought I was going to move to Colorado Springs and live my dream, but my husband's job brought us to Utah.
Oh, interesting.
So we got here in 2002, and I applied to open. I couldn't find a school like that here, and so I wrote a charter and applied to open a similar school here.
And this was really at the beginning of the charter school movement in Utah, right?
Yeah, we had just finished the pilot with the 7 pilot schools, and they had just opened it for other people to apply. And so we applied in 2002, and we opened in 2003 in Draper.
Wow. So Draper was your first school then?
It was, yep.
So of course that's expanded now, right?
Yes, we didn't have a way to expand for a while here in Utah. And so we helped other schools open. I helped Legacy Preparatory open and Odyssey Preparatory, who all wanted to have similar schools. There were several other schools, Navigator Point. And then the legislature brought us this satellite opportunity where we could open multiple campuses. So in 2009, we decided to go into West Valley City and open a school for the refugees and immigrants. And the reason behind that, there's a lot of pressure. We had almost 10,000 kids on our wait list at this time in 2008, and we had a lot of kids on our wait list.
So you could open right in the
in Draper,
area.
we could have.
Yeah.
But my brother Howard was working on the a board to help with housing for the refugees, and we were resettling a lot of refugees here in Salt Lake at the time, from Somalia and from Burma. And we found that they were struggling because they were 13, they would be put in the 8th grade, even if they had never been at school, then in a camp. And our model teaches to the level of the student, not necessarily the grade, in reading and math. In the skills areas, reading and math, we teach to the level, not the grade. And so
you want kids to learn to read
they
and do math.
have to be able to, and they need to learn at their speed. Like if they're fast, if you have a kindergartner coming into school reading, even though the kindergarten standard is to teach them their letter sounds, we believe that's a violation of that child's rights. They should be taught reading at the level they are at all through elementary school. And so we've been doing that. And so my brother, being the chairman of our school, he was like, these kids who are resettling here need this model. So we opened the School for New Americans in 2009. So it's called American Preparatory Academy, School for New Americans, in West Valley City. And it was so well received by the community that we opened 2 years later a larger school. So that school was about 570 students, and we opened 2 years later a K through 12 school. So now all the kids in the system there can go through. There's about 2,200 kids in the West Valley system. Then we came back to Draper and opened 2 more campuses there. And we helped a school called Liberty Academy that was struggling in Salem. They asked us to come in and manage their school, and they became part of American Prep. So now there's an American Prep Salem. And then just last year we opened Cedar City campus. So,
wow.
Yeah, those are our schools.
And you know, what's interesting to me when, of course, I serve as chair of the Education Committee in the Senate, but as I've looked into the data, what's really appealing to me is that you don't just get, I mean, on one hand, you get some of the brightest kids. You've got these big waiting lists for kids to get into your school, but you've also got some of the hardest kids to teach.
Yeah, our vision is that good teaching is effective with all children, and it doesn't matter how much money their parents make or what color their skin is. If their brains, all humans' brains can learn if they're taught properly. And so our excitement is to teach really well and use data to continue to improve our teaching, and to break that achievement gap that you normally see between the advantaged and disadvantaged students. In fact, Stanford last year named us an achievement, well, it's called a gap busting school by busting the achievement gap. And we're the only school in Utah that was named in both reading and math to be busting that achievement gap between races and economics. So that's very exciting to us, because that's our vision, is that if you use proper pedagogy, effective teaching, and data, you can teach all children successfully.
And you know, if a kid can't learn to read and they can't do math, they have a hard time doing anything, don't they?
Yeah, it seems inexcusable, right?
Yeah.
Especially as charter schools are public, taxpayers like support us with their dollars, and we need to uphold that trust by ensuring we teach every student to mastery.
Yeah, very good. We're going to take a break and we'll come right back.
Tired of media bias? Frustrated by political noise? Politicket.com cuts through the clutter, giving you real facts, clear analysis, and unbiased insight on the issues that matter most. Stay informed, stay empowered. Whether it's elections, policy changes, or breaking news, we've got you covered. No spin, no agendas, just truth you can trust. Visit policymakers.com today, because informed citizens shape the future. Policymakers.com, where politics meets clarity.
Welcome back to Politic. We've got Carolyn Sharette with us from American Preparatory Academy. Nice to really talk to you. I want to address the issue. I mean, you feel fairly strongly about teaching kids, don't you? About giving them a chance.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, the name of our school, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Our school's called American Preparatory Academy. And I was raised by a very patriotic veteran dad who also was involved in civic opportunities to make the world better. And our vision is that we want to prepare every American student, every student who's in America, let's say that, who comes in front of me,
right,
to be successful in America. This is where they live.
And it's not really, in a way, it's not your choice who comes to you, right?
Not in a charter, and not that I would want it to be either. We take any student, and we're so excited about all the students who are coming here from all over the world, as far as we're historically a melting pot in our country. And the vision is that people come here, and Abraham Lincoln spoke about teaching their children who come here, nurturing them in this religion of America. And that's why American Preparatory, we're so excited about our country. We're so excited about the freedoms, the successes, the amazing opportunities that happen here. Well, we serve parents who bring their kids to us, who want their kids to be successful in the highest levels of American education, government, business. That's what they're hoping for. Some of our parents spent their lives in camps, waiting, getting the opportunity to come here with their families, and then they find us, and we help prepare their children. You're aware, we bring our kids to the Capitol every year,
Yeah.
but this isn't a tour. This isn't just a Capitol tour.
Part of their education.
It's part of they learn about the bills that are up this session. They follow bills. They go to committee meetings. They talk, legislators like you come and talk to them, which we appreciate so much. We want them to be confident in the systems. We don't talk about what they should think or how they should come down on political issues, but they need to understand the amazing system we have that will allow them to have lives of meaning and purpose, which means lives of flourishing in a classical school. So as a classical school, that's kind of our focus, and we want all our students to experience that.
Yeah. Well, of course, I have a real passion for classical liberal education, right? And it's been a big push for me because I feel like we're getting away from the whole purpose of the country and the idea that we can unite behind ideas, and those ideas are liberty and freedom, and
Yes.
a good education can help with that, right?
It certainly is primary to it. I also think a specific education in patriotic education is important. And our patriotic education includes things like daily recitation of our motto, our Pledge of Allegiance. But our kids also sing 2 verses of the national anthem whenever they sing it, and so that they think about the soldiers who are defending us. The words in that second verse talk about
Right.
that. And then
you have little sayings that you have.
yeah, we do.
Right?
We have. They're called. My American Duty is something that's set at some of our events where our kids start to understand, if you're going to be here and participate in this system, this beautiful country, do we have a duty? And we have a duty to uphold the law. We have a duty to participate, right? And we also have 5 American ideals, and the kids do recite those too. And they learn about what it means to be a democratic republic through those ideals. And our patriotism is an ideal, that we respect those who are serving, like you, in our public. We respect those who are serving in our armed services. We're grateful to them. That's what patriotism means. It's not a political term in our schools, right? So yes, our students.
And that's what you're trying to teach, right? That this is a fabulous country, and we love this. And when we come here, we're Americans. That's what unites us together, is these principles.
Exactly. And I'll tell you the truth is the immigrant families that have come to us. In the last few years, we've had many immigrant families from Venezuela join us, and they hear about us from friends, and so then they join and they come, and so they're all at a campus together. And we were able to bring in a Venezuelan dissident to speak to all of our secondary kids. This is a young adult who's getting his law degree here. And these are the most enthusiastic young Americans you'll ever meet. They know the system is great, and they're so excited to be here. It's oftentimes our families who've been here for generations whose children don't know how great our country is, and so that's why we think it's important that all students get patriotic education.
Yeah, very good. So let's go back. I want to cover the reading and math things.
Okay.
How do you teach kids to read?
So the science of learning is something that we hear about a lot in Utah now, which I'm so excited. Because when I came here, the school I found that I talked about in Colorado Springs that I went to work at for $8 an hour, 40 miles each way, you know why I went? Is because they use the science of reading there. They use what was called reading mastery and direct instruction. It's something that had been written years before and had so many years of data proving it's the most effective way for kids to learn to read. And so I was adamant that we had that when I came to Utah. It wasn't here. I brought it. We started bringing it to all these different charter schools that wanted to do it as well. We've done it now for 23 years. So imagine how excited I was when Senator Milner decided she was going to bring it to Utah full force and we could be aligned. So we use, like I say, science of reading curriculum. The particular one we use is called Reading Mastery and literature-based direct instruction programs. And our kids are assessed before they even come into school. Everyone is assessed. And they're put into small groups of learning for reading. They get a full hour of reading instruction at their precise instructional level. How do you do that? How could you possibly do that? Well, you do it through structuring your school. So in the mornings, our K through third graders all go to reading from 8 to 9, let's say. And because I hire a full-time teacher and a full-time assistant teacher in every elementary classroom at APA, so there's always 2 adults in every elementary classroom, when it's time to go to reading, now I have double the amount of reading classes. Well, I also hire a few extra groups teachers. So we try to have a 3-to-1 ratio, so our kids are in groups of about, if you have a 30 in your classroom, you're going to be in a reading group of about 10. But the difference is it's at your precise instructional level. You're never sitting with 30 kids with 15 different reading levels, because it could happen.
Yeah.
But you're certainly going to have 6 or 7, right? So if you bring them all into their precise instructional level, you teach them for 60 full minutes. All kids can learn to read this way.
And they do, right?
And they do, yes, yes.
Yeah, because I know we had our interim committee meeting at your
Yes.
school. And I was blown away when you were showing the statistics on how well these kids were doing.
Yes. Some of our language acquisition students may take longer to learn to read fluently in English. But if you look at our numbers for 6th grade, everyone's focusing on 3rd. We were number 1 in reading on grade level for 3rd grade in 2024, which was very exciting to us, but not that surprising. We've been knowing the data for all these years. We know that it's working. But if you look at 6th graders at our school, you're getting up to 95% reading. You're not just trying to hit that 70 or
Right.
80. If they stay with us, even our ESL students or language acquisition learners, they're gonna get it. It just takes a little longer. It's just like if I were to go to China or somewhere
Right,
and try to
right.
learn.
But you keep at it, and you keep them at the level that they're at so that they
Yes.
can progress.
And let me say, that is a concern I have with the reading on grade level push we've made at 3rd grade, is if you look at the data in the state, which we've pulled it, we looked carefully at it, what you see after 3rd grade is not a happy picture, because the schools have been pushed so hard to hit this 3rd grade number, which I think is great. But what happens in 4th, 5th, 6th falls, right? And some of the funding is same, it goes to 3rd grade
Right.
and not above. So
Well, and your goal is you want to make sure a kid graduates from high school knowing how to read.
right? Well, let me tell you,
Right.
our West Valley kids this year, we had 75 graduates, and we had $4.8 million in scholarships just for 75 graduates in West Valley.
Wow.
These are kids from all over the world. 72% of them were first-generation college attendees. I mean, it just makes me weep.
And
I'm sorry. It makes me so happy.
And they made it.
They not only made it, they're at the
They
top
crushed it.
levels. Yes, it's so exciting to see.
These aren't kids that are barely getting into school. These are getting scholarships and
big
doing
money
well.
scholarships. And this year we had 17 graduates who had come up from kindergarten with us, which is fun. We get to see what the program really can do if it's based in two things: academics and then character development. And patriotic education is included in our character development part, and we give both equal amount of attention at our schools, so that kids can not just be smart when they leave, but have the confidence to go out in any setting and, like you said, crush it.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, we're out of time. Any parting thoughts? What kind of advice do you give to the education system from what you've learned?
Oh my gosh. We need to stick with cognitive science and data and do what works for kids. We owe it to them. We owe it to them to really bring the very best of what works for kids and keep that motto. We have a motto: we do what's best for kids. And I just feel like it needs to be in the front of everyone's minds. Because sometimes in education, we do what's best for the adults.
Right.
Or what they're demanding.
Right.
But really, we need to do what's best for each student.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for those parting thoughts, and we'll see you guys next week.